Hello everyone, my name is Zach. I am the Traveling Man, and today I come to you from Mallory Square here in Key West, Florida, where thanks to my friends at Short Excursions Group, I'm about to embark on a walking food tour around Key West. We're gonna get to see some really cool sights here. I love Key West, I'm really excited to be back here. So come on if you're ready, and let's get this adventure started. So we've reached our first stop of the day. This is the El Cibone restaurant. This is a Cuban restaurant. It's the meeting location of the tour, which will be starting in just a minute. But I did want to show you that we are off the beaten path per se a little bit. We're not on Duval Street anymore. It's just a residential street. Actually walked about half a mile down this residential street to get here. So one of the cool things about a walking food tour is that you do sort of get off the beaten path a bit and get out and see areas that you might not have normally explored on your own. So really excited to see more of Key West, and certainly excited to taste some delicious food today.
Hey, don't pack.
So the food at El Cibone was absolutely delicious. We had a pork asada, which you can see there, delicious food. The pork asada was served with rice. It was served with a wedge of lime, so you could put over that rice, and those black beans and the bread. Everything was just so delectable. Really enjoyed it. Also, a plantain came with it. That was kind of like the delicacy of the dish. I always love a sweet plantain, but really good food there. And El Cibone was actually the name of a native tribe down in Cuba, and that just shows the Cuban influence here in Key West. Of course, 90 miles from Key West, and in fact, Key West is closer to Cuba than it is a Target or a Walmart location. So let that sink in. That's how close you are. So the Cuban influence has always been here in Key West, even before Key West was part of the United States, which didn't happen until the late 1800s. The Cuban influence was here. So a lot of Cuban restaurants, a lot of Cuban food here, a lot of the culture is here in Key West. So that was a fantastic first stop. I don't know how we can top that or if it will be topped. Maybe that'll be my favorite stop of the day. But just really enjoyed that. That pork, the pork asada, they actually marinate that in a mojo. Mojo is like an orange, like a sour orange sauce. And so it's just so tender. There were some pickled onions there on top of it. I just really enjoyed it. Like if that was all of the food on this walking tour, I might be okay with that. But there's not. There's 5 locations in all, and that was only one of the 5. So we're on our way now back toward Duval Street. The tour guide just told us that's actually going to be the next stop is Duval Street. So we'll see what awaits us down there and what we see along the way. So this is actually El Cibone restaurant. It's actually on Catherine Street, just to show you how residential it is here. Not a whole lot of businesses down this street. We are by a suburban propane location, but other than that, it is pretty residential. Not a lot of shops and things on Catherine Street. They don't have a lot of street signs here, but instead all the poles are marked with the names of the streets in Key West, which I thought was pretty unique and cool. You just look for the white markers on the poles, and that's how you actually see the name of the cross street that you're at. So the tour guide was just telling us a little bit about this factory. What used to be a factory back here. It was owned by Edward Gato, and this was a cigar factory. And Edward Gato was notorious for bringing the Cuban cigar industry here to Key West. It was a big boom back in the 1800s for Cuban cigars, and in fact, some of the houses that you see here behind me are known as Gato houses because they were built here to support the folks that would come from Cuba and other places to support the Cuban cigar industry here in Key West. So here's just an example of some of the shotgun homes that make up Gato Village. This was the first residential neighborhood in Key West. But this house right here is currently on the market, just to show you how much home prices are in Key West. This house is currently on the market for $1.5 million. So interesting to hear a little bit about Gatoville and Edward Gato and the Cuban cigar industry. And as you see, all these houses are the same because they are all a part of that community. Now, not only was Edward Gato responsible for bringing Cuban cigars to Key West, he was also responsible for bringing all these chickens. Key West is known for all the chickens, mainly roosters, and that's because whenever the Cubans would come over, they would like to bring some stock, and usually that was in the way of chickens. So that's why there are so many chickens here in Key West, still to this day. Now we're back out on Duval Street, headed to our next location, but it's turned into a lovely day. Actually, the temperature has warmed up quite a bit now, so it's actually almost perfect weather. There's a nice cool breeze blowing, but I don't feel like I'm freezing to death like I was earlier. Cool to see Duval Street in the full January sunshine. But we're now making the turn to our next location. So this is the next stop. It's the Speakeasy Inn and Rum Bar, where we're going to get to try a virgin cocktail, which should be pretty good. Tour guide's just gone in now to arrange all that. We'll taste it in a minute. But just wanted to show you the outside because this looks like a really cool place. The Speakeasy Inn and Rum Bar here, just right on Duval Street. You can see we turned the corner of Duval and what is this? Amelia Street, but we're here just kind of on the side of it. You can also enter it or access it from Duval Street itself. So we're gonna walk now into the Speakeasy Inn and a Rum Bar. So it's the inn up above, and then of course the bar and everything down here on the main level.
This alphabet we love rum, so
Oh, that cat is huge.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
It's a chunky
Trying
cat.
to say it nicely.
That's how I'm gonna look after this food tour. Back outside out here on the porch. Wanted to show you around here. You can go upstairs there to the inn. You see the banisters up there. They actually have illustrations because back during Prohibition, they actually had to put neat little designs in there to tell people that this was a bar. So if you kind of look from this angle, you can see the bottles that they put into the banisters. Let me zoom in just a bit to show you. Right there, you can kind of see the bottom, see the hearts, see the bottles. So that was sort of their sly way to tell people, to advertise to people walking by that this was a bar and they could come in and get a drink, you know, on the down low. At this location, I'm going to try a rum runner, and I opted for the virgin, so non-alcoholic rum runner, but going to try this. One of their famous drinks, and a drink that was actually made famous in the Key West area back in the days of Prohibition because they had to, again, sort of be on the down low about alcohol and stuff, so they would run rum back and forth between here and Cuba and some of the other islands in the Bahamas. So that's where the drink of rum runner came from. So it's a very popular cocktail to have in the Caribbean. Back on the move now after our stop at the Speakeasy Inn. Now we're headed across the Duval. I don't know where we're headed, but I guess to our next food location, of course, but I don't know what we're going to see along the way. And it's certainly one of the exciting parts about one of these walking tours is, you know, you really don't know what's in store next, what you're going to see next, what you're going to learn next. And it's very fascinating. And I think I like these food tours so much because number one, love to eat. I mean, you can probably look at me and tell that. Number two, I love to explore. I love to learn things. And what better place to learn new things and see new things and explore new things than in Key West, Florida. I just really love it here. I'm being reminded today of why this is one of my favorite ports of call just about anywhere. Like, Key West is just so cool. We've now moved over from Duval Street to Whitehead Street. Whitehead Street runs parallel with Duval Street. It's just a street over. And it also, like Duval Street, runs from the Atlantic Ocean, which is back down there, all the way up to the Gulf of Mexico, which is up where the ship is docked up there. So a lot of restaurants and things also located on Whitehead Street. And speaking of restaurants, I meant to mention earlier, there are 300 restaurants, over 300 restaurants here in Key West. So while we're on a walking food tour, I wanted to mention there's no shortage of food and different types of cuisines to explore here. It's interesting to see all the different architecture types as you walk around too, just because all the houses are just so different. And then now we have this church here. This is actually the Rock House. I guess it used to be a church. I don't know what it is now. It looks like it might be an art exhibit now, but Rock House masterpiece here, and what looks to be like an old church, but a very cool looking island church just up Whitehead, right up that way. We're turning now, but would have been Hemingway's house of Ernest Hemingway, the famous writer. He loved Key West. One of the largest residences on Key West. So in addition to the Cuban cigar industry, the shipwreck industry was also very big in Key West. They would actually profit a lot off of shipwrecks that would happen nearby. So back in the day, whenever they had this lighthouse, folks would actually be paid to come and turn the light off at the lighthouse to encourage, hopefully, more shipwrecks that they could benefit off of. So kind of defeating the purpose of having a lighthouse. We're actually walking through the Bahama Village right now, another one of the oldest communities, one of the original communities here. The tour guide was telling us how this used to be waterfront, pretty much, but when the U.S. military came into Key West many, many years ago, they built a lot of this up and pushed the water back. So now there's a lot more land between here and the ocean front. But that's why that lighthouse is sort of in a weird spot. If you visit Key West, you might remark on it being in such a weird location because it is kind of in the middle of the island, not near the bodies of water.
Right there.
So we're back to Duval Street now, but this is actually the entrance to the Bahama Village. They actually have an archway up here denoting that. But we're really near now our next dining location after quite a bit of playing tourists and a lot of learning about Key West. Now we're going to our next location, which is going to be Mango's, which is right across the street right up here. Duval Street, a lot of restaurants. Like I said, over 300 restaurants in Key West, and a lot of them located here on Duval Street, over on Whitehead Street, right here in what we were calling the main drags of Key West. And there come more visitors right there. A lot of jets flying over this afternoon. A lot of new visitors arriving at the airport, which is just nearby. Well, everything's nearby in Key West. It's not that big of a place. So now we're here at the next location, which is called Mango's, where we're going to have some conch fritters and chowder. So Mango's was a cool place, and the tour guide was telling us that even locals, even folks that live here at Key West, come to eat at Mango's because they have such good food. Of course, a lot of seafood, but he says they also have a lot of land cuisine too, like steaks and burgers and things. But they're known for their conch fritters, and conch, of course, is the Conch Republic. It's a very big dish here in Key West. So we were able to have some conch chowder, and the conch chowder was really interesting. I never had anything quite like it because it's seafood, but kind of in like the same spices, almost like a soup or a chili. And it was actually a little bit spicy, which was really nice. And then we also had some conch fritters, and the conch fritters were homemade here, so they were really good. They had really good flavor to them, so really enjoyed both of the dishes that we had here at Mango's. A really good spot for some authentic conch, which is always a must here in Key West. Now we're going to our next location, which is Kaya Island Eats, which is actually we were just right there at Mango's, and now we're coming here to Kaya.
I'll be right back with some more.
So we've just finished our meal here at Kaya, or tasting our food, I should say. Now we're going to walk through the full restaurant before we actually depart. So I just want to show you what that looks like, just in case you might be coming here considering this walking tour. You know what to expect. We eat outside, but they have an entire inside section.
What do you want? Get right here.
So the food that we had at Kaya was actually some mahi fish topped with like a pineapple salsa. And the cool thing about Kaya was it's actually more Hawaiian inspired, and that's because the owner is actually from Hawaii. The food there was really good. I really enjoyed the fish and really enjoyed the sauce and the salsa that was on top of it. Now headed to our final stop of the day already, the tour nearing its end. And I think now we're going to go for some Cuban coffee and some key lime pie at the next stop, the last stop, which will be exciting because all day long so far we've had, fish and Cuban food and everything. It'll be nice to have a little bit of dessert. So we've cut down an alley here just off Duval Street, and we are headed to Cuban Coffee Queen Roasters, and we are arriving there right now. And this right here is actually a key lime tree, and the tour guide was just saying that they actually don't get much bigger than this. You can see right there how small they are, but of course when they're green they're not as ripe. When they get ripe they're more of a yellow orangish color. But yeah, these are key limes and actually a key lime tree, so a lot different than what I was imagining. Maybe you're thinking the same thing right now. So here is the key lime pie that we're going to be having here at Cuban Coffee Queen Roasters. Of course, you can't visit Key West without key lime pie. It's like their staple dish, their staple dessert, always a must every time I come here. So glad it's a part of the tour. And this is actually known as Key Lime Square, right here where we were back here getting our coffee. There's a lot of different businesses back here. But yeah, Cuban Coffee Queen was very good. Really enjoyed that key lime pie. Also sampled some Cuban coffee as well, which was good. Just a little bitty sample of it because it's quite strong. So now we have departed our official walking tour and are sort of back on our own now, headed back toward the ship. Now back to the cruise pier, back over here at Mallory Square. That is going to end our day here in Key West. What a fantastic day it's been. I want to say a big thank you again to my friends at Short Excursions Group. And folks, it's 2025. If you're still booking your short excursions through the cruise line or really anywhere else other than Short Excursions Group, you need to think about your life choices a little bit, because Short Excursions Group, they make a guarantee they're going to get you back to the ship. Our tour ended on time today. We're back at the ship just on time. Of course, I walked to my excursion today, but in the event that there was any transportation involved, they guarantee they're going to get you back on time. They even put money on it. So Short Excursions Group is completely safe. It's so convenient and easy to book with them. Click the link that I'm going to put down in the description. You can go to their website. You can put in your ship, the date that you're sailing. It's going to pull up your full itinerary and show you excursions for every single port of call. I promise you they're going to have excursions available. I've been on excursions now with them. Doing the walking food tour here in Key West, I've also done one with them in Amsterdam. I've done excursions with them in Australia. So all around the world, literally anywhere you're sailing, Short Excursions Group is going to be able to help you out. I had a fantastic time on the tour today. I learned so much from the tour guide, and just so much about the food, so much about the cultural, the background, the history of Key West, and I really enjoyed it. That's why I like to travel. You know, I like to have experiences like I had today where I'm actively learning. You know, it's not about, for me, you know, everybody travels for their own reason, and that's fine. But for me, being able to learn about the history and the culture of a place, that does it for me. That really makes me happy when I'm learning as I travel. So a fantastic day here in Key West. I want to say thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go down below, give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you very soon on the next adventure.